hard, Batcaz. When I left the United States, I had to leave my kitty with my parents, and I still miss him. He's in a good home now because they gave him to like my cousin, who also really wanted a cat and would come and hang out at the house, and like the cat really got along with her, and so he's happy, she's happy, it's fine. But I do miss him. Also, ironically, I miss my ex's cat more than my ex. I hope she doesn't see this. But funny enough, like, I don't know, it's difficult, you know? That cat fucking loved me, though. Like, that cat had anxiety to the point where she was petrified of everything, and I was the emotional support human. But also, she was the cutest cat in the world. If I cried, she would lick my face. She would lick the tears off my face. If I was in pain, like, if I, like, stubbed my toe and I just, like, shouted in pain, she would immediately run into the room and just start instantly, like, purring, meowing, rubbing up against me, trying to, like, distract me from... She was the cutest, like, I don't know. Very nice. Very, emotional support cat. I love that cat. I'm allergic to the fluff demons, but I do like them. Chickens are like cats, kind of. No, I live in Australia now, Peacefire now. And I used to be allergic to cats when I was a kid. I grew out of it. There are hypoallergenic cats to ginger fluff. You might want to look into that. But yeah, chickens are kind of like cats if you squint really hard. I think all cats are beautiful. My favorite is the Maine Coon, and I know that's a little cliche, but like, fuck, I just want a giant cat. Yeah, I adopted my cat from the shelter. He's 5 years old. I adopted him from the shelter, which is why my legs are constantly cut up, because he's 5 and he came from the shelter. He loves me. He just really loves to murder and play. So, you know, one day I'll get a kitty and a puppy at the same time. I hope so. One day I'll hopefully have enough money to do something like that, you know? Oh, by the way, guys, please like the stream, and we're about to jump in. So let's listen to Mehdi Hasan debating the premier of China. This was such a good one.
我们的前途一片光明，但脚下的路不会是一片坦途。
Territorial disputes have sparked fears of a larger conflict that could have regional and global implications.
You have approached the waters near Chinese Renai Reef,
including in the contested waters of the South China Sea.
That's your curse. Live and keep foul.
Yeah, I'm about to.
And in Taiwan.
Wait, do you want me to move the captions, or do you want me to move my face?
Where the threat of a Chinese military invasion looms larger.
I'll put it up here.
At home, attacks on basic freedoms and human rights have become more severe, like in Xinjiang, where China continues to commit serious human rights abuses, some say a genocide, against the Uyghur Muslims.
Absolutely a genocide.
So, how far will China's autocratic
Sorry,
vision
Chairman
reach,
Xi.
and will long
You drone strike me, and it is what it is.
Hit a boiling point?
I'm Mehdi Hasan, and I've come here to London's legendary Conway Hall to go head-to-head with Victor Gao.
This is such a good debate. It's so mask off.
In Beijing, former interpreter for the late Chinese leader Deng Xiaoping, and a proud defender of the People's Republic. I'll ask him about China's global ambitions and its aggressive crackdown on human rights and civil liberties.
If you ask the new Chinese AI about Tiananmen Square, it won't give you an answer.
Tonight, I'll also be joined by 3 experts. Stephen Chan,
I'm sure some of you might have.
School of Oriental and African Studies. Rayhan Assad, a human rights lawyer of Uyghur heritage. And Martin Jakes.
It's either Chinese or Russian, good guy Dari. They're both doing it. China's been doing it in the Pacific Ocean. Russia's been doing it in the... what's the sea that's like the Norwegian area, you know? Not just Denmark, but also like in that general vicinity. They're testing their capabilities of hybrid attacks.
Author of the bestseller When China Rules the World, and a political commentator on China.
Honestly, I've seen this already, but it's like someone brought it up the other day, and I was like, oh fuck, it's been a while since I've seen this. This was really good. I want to watch it. When I first saw this, I watched it before I started streaming, so.
Victor Gao, thank you so much for joining me on Head to Head this evening here in London.
Thank you for having me.
China has upped its military spending. It's expanding its nuclear arsenal. It now has the biggest navy in the world. Chinese President Xi Jinping has said that the country's military should be capable of, quote, fighting and winning wars, and told the military to focus all your energy on fighting, improve your capability to win. Victor,
I don't think I can watch ContraPoints. Like, I would love to watch ContraPoints on stream, but that feels like content stealing. Because ContraPoints videos aren't something that I can really commentate on. First of all, ContraPoints fucking excellent. Like, what am I gonna add it? She just kind of, we would just sit here and watch it silently.
who do you want to fight and who do you want to win against?
First of all, the Chinese military spending is the second largest in the world, but it is only a fraction of that of the United States. And China has a very...
So right off the bat, the main argument, well, America does worse, so that means we can do it too, right? Just because someone else is doing something bad, that means that I get to do something bad.
Difficult geopolitical situation. China has 14 land neighboring countries altogether.
Oh, you see China bad, but America's worse.
Nations, for China.
Every time.
Therefore, China's defensive in nature, is not for fighting anyone except those who want to invade China.
Defensive in nature, except when it comes to Hong Kong, India, Taiwan, the Uyghur.
China, or to launch a war against China. China's military spending is for peace rather than war, and war will be forced upon China.
It's for a piece of India, a piece of Taiwan, a piece of Hong Kong, and a piece of Tibet, and
China need to fight back.
You say it's for peace, but your neighbors don't agree. Your neighbors are pretty worried about you. You go through the list. Japan has sounded the alarm, saying your military buildup is very serious concern to them. India is worried about China on its border. And the Philippines president has warned that China is becoming a more pronounced and worrisome threat, he says. Those are the elected governments of countries representing over 1.6 billion people in Asia. This is not the United States. This is not the West. These are your Asian neighbors saying, we're worried about China.
Maybe you mentioned three of the neighboring countries of China. Let's talk about each of them very quickly. Japan unconditionally surrendered not only to the United States, but also to China in 1945. And if you read very carefully the unconditional surrender document that Japan signed, then you will know how Japan needs to conduct its foreign affairs as well as its military troops with China and with all those countries that Japan unconditionally surrendered for. India is a great nation, and there is a territorial dispute between China and India, but that dispute was not created by China, neither was it created by India. It was created or left behind by the British Indian government.
That's a great history lesson, but right now, China, in 2024, the defense spending is going up by 7%, the most for 5 years. You've had 29 consecutive years of military expenditure growth, the most of any country in the world. Since 2022, China has increased military drills around Taiwan. It's escalated since the new Taiwanese president was inaugurated in May. China is not
Mehdi Hasan is so fucking
Since then, there's been almost daily activity involving China's warships, drones, cyber attacks against Taiwan. China is getting ready to invade Taiwan, isn't it?
There is only one China. Taiwan is part of China, and the government of the People's Republic of China is the sole.
So the answer to this is yes, by the way, because Chairman Xi said by 2050, we want to have Taiwan part of us. And at least according to officials from the previous administration, this is likely to happen between 2025 and 2027. I remember watching this when Vosh covered it. It's hilarious. I think that is also how I ended up watching it the first time as well. It is very hilarious, but it's been long enough that I forgot most of it, so...
Legitimate government for the totality of China. The exact status between the two sides of the Taiwan Strait is the unfinished civil war back in 1949. So ever since the beginning of the 1980s,
Okay.
China does not want to use a war to solve this unification problem.
You
but
don't want to use a war, but
Except
you're
you
surrounding
totally
with ships,
will.
drones, cyber attacks, and making lots of threats.
Yeah.
Each time when the separatists in Taiwan want to push the edge of the envelope, they will come across more and more demonstration of the commitment of the Chinese nation to eventually achieve peaceful reunification or otherwise. That's the litmus test.
Your defense minister said anyone who dares to pursue independence for Taiwan will be crushed into pieces and face destruction. Sounds like a truly peaceful guy.
Yeah, sounds very,
That's a
very
real
peaceful.
statement, because
I know
if
it
the
is.
separatists really want to push the edge of the envelope with the aid of some big country, for example, which wants to use Taiwan as a proxy in its own geopolitical rivalry against China, then wait until you see what will happen. Reunification will be achieved, and China is the only permanent member of the United Nations Security Council which has not yet achieved a complete reunification.
I'm always amused with this phrase reunification,
Yeah.
because if it's one China, then clearly it's not one China. Clearly you're accepting by definition if you need to reunify it. They are doing their own thing. And why this obsession with Taiwan? You are a country of 3.7 million square miles, a population 60 times that of Taiwan, economy 20 times the size of Taiwan. Why are you obsessed with Taiwan? Why not just leave them be?
In terms of defending China's sovereignty and territorial integrity, any inch of land is not 1 inch too much. Any one single person is not one person too many. So we need to achieve reunification.
If Trump is more isolationist and is a Xi dick rider, they might allow the Great Dragon Empire to unite. Literally, like, kind of the plan, you know?
As
Even
President,
though they don't want to be part of your country. 12% of the people of Taiwan say they want to reunify with China. 12%. You
Mehdi,
can't get more unpopular than that in that.
Mehdi, it's not up to the people in Taiwan to decide about the one China policy.
Oh, so it's not up to like, why is this a W, Lennon? This is terrible. Like, it's not up to the people to decide? Fuck you. Why? Why the fuck wouldn't it be? They are their own country. I don't believe in one China.
Very blunt in your disregard for people's views, freedoms, dignity. You say that you don't care about what they think. You also said in an interview with the French newspaper Le Monde, once we get the island back, we'll have to ask everyone's origins. Those who have Japanese ancestry, who you basically say constitute 10% of the population, will have to pledge loyalty to reunification in writing, otherwise we'll have to help them leave. You're basically calling for the ethnic cleansing of 2.3 million people in Taiwan.
No, you remember back in 1945 when Japan unconditionally surrendered, a lot of
Mate. Yes, it did. What's up, Stitcher? The Civil War ended a long time ago because it's over. Taiwan is its own country. I don't get, like, China doesn't get to invade this other land, even, like, with what? What historical claims? Historical claims of, oh, we used to own this land, or oh, you used to be our people? Was that the answer? No, fuck that. That's stupid.
people in Taiwan who
Don't
originally
care.
came from Japan. They were the rulers of Taiwan at the time. They stayed behind because of the magnanimity of the Chinese nation. Now, several decades later, they account for about 10% of the local population in Taiwan. Now, if you
Okay, well, if we're going by that logic, you're all fucking Turkish, Lenin. Welcome to being Turkish. Merhaba, nasılsınız? Historical claims mean literally nothing. They literally mean nothing. Well, you know, shit. Like, of course Putin agrees with his historical claims, because, and so does Trump, and so does Netanyahu, because all of them use historic claims to justify stealing other people's land. All right, well, you're not Eastern European? Sure. Are you from the Middle East? Because this right here is covering the entire Middle East. Unless you're from this exact part of Saudi Arabia, or, you know, okay, well, fine. Then you're not Turkish. But all of these people are Turkish. Look, you know, India's Turkish, parts of Russia are Turkish, What else is there? You know, like Germany's Turkish. You know, AfD keeps saying Germany for the Germans, but you know, we kind of owned them for a while, you know, well before they were German, in fact. So, I don't know.
If you really do your homework, you will realize that those die-hard Taiwanese separatists include many of these Japanese
Completely baseless
Chinese.
claims, but okay.
Well,
but
we
you
can-
would get rid of them. You would
Incredibly
get rid of
baseless.
2.3 million people.
No, after the reunification, everyone in Taiwan need to make a pledge, whether they acknowledge there
The Ottomans were bigger than the Roman Empire.
is only one China and Taiwan is part of China.
And if
No,
they don't make that
it's not.
pledge, they're out.
Those who pledge
Wow.
for the one China policy, they are local
You didn't, by the way, you didn't say
citizens.
everyone. You said of Japanese descent. That is literally ethnic cleansing. You're picking people by their ethnic heritage, making them do a loyalty test. Otherwise, they have to get out of the country they've
It
lived
is
in
not a
for
loyalty
decades.
test. Here, for example, in Britain, if you are a British citizen, you
Yeah.
need to support the monarchy. You cannot say,
No, I'm
you
standing in Britain. I don't support the monarchy. I don't like King Charles.
No, you
Come
cannot
here.
say, no.
I just said it.
Mehdi,
I literally just said it.
you cannot take any action to oppose the monarchy system.
But I don't have to
Yes.
sign a pledge saying I
You
support
can.
King
You
Charles.
can go protest. You can go speak out. You can say fuck the king if you want to. That is part of you know, living in a country that has freedom. And I'm not sure what you mean by a third of the world, because I don't know. Like, I'm looking at a bunch of different maps of the Roman Empire, and they all look smaller than that. That's more land area than any map of the Roman Empire that I can find. Jeez, I really do get off topic easily.
Each country is different.
Yeah,
We are
I
talking
can
about
assure you
China.
China is very
And
different.
China has one policy which is part of the
Which
constitution.
involves threatening people in Taiwan who don't want to be part of your country. Let's bring in our panel who are waiting to come in and join. Let's see what they think. I'm joined by Stephen Chan, professor at the University of London School of Oriental
And yeah,
African
that's also
Studies.
true, Lost Out.
If you're in Taiwan today, how worried are you about a looming invasion?
I'm not in Taiwan today. I'm going to be visiting next year. I've been there 5 times in all of the great cities of Taiwan. And what I've noticed most conspicuously is that nobody I've talked to wants to rejoin or reunify with China because of their sense of freedom and their sense of self-determination. So I think that if you're going to say our sovereignty matters more than your desire for your own self-determination and freedom, then you're doing something that will not make you popular in Taiwan, and you won't win the argument for Chinese sovereignty.
Look at what happened with Hong Kong. Just this week, 19 protesters got arrested in Hong Kong. They're just gonna get disappeared. And Batman ADHD makes it impossible for him to focus on something for more than 30 minutes. I did awful in school, even in special ed. You might just need ADHD meds, mate. Like, have you looked into being on ADHD medication? Because, like, that shit helps. I was very much like that as well, and then now I take Vyvanse and I can, I don't know, function.
Over the island.
Martin Jakes is
Yeah,
here.
we
He's
all
author
feel
of the
you.
best-selling book on
Everyone
China
here
Rules the World.
probably.
Martin, you've said in the past that China should not be seen through a solely Western lens. So, I agree with you, and there's issues there. But I began the show by asking Victor about Japan and India and the Philippines, separate to Taiwan, just the issues in the region. Do you think China is responsible for some of those issues, all of those issues, none of those issues?
Well, China's obviously involved in...
You should try Vyvanse or Ritalin or Concerta because they all act differently on your body. Like, for example, I do really well on Vyvanse and Adderall, but I do very poorly on Concerta. Adderall might not have worked for you. You can try some other ones.
Inevitably, in all of those issues, I think that, that actually, if you look at the rise of China over the last 30, 40 years, spectacular, biggest change we've ever seen in history, really. And inevitably, that is
Well
changing
done to Ginger Fluff.
everything in the region, in the world. That doesn't, but the remarkable thing I'd say, Mehdi, about China's rise is how, you quoted the military figures and so on, but China has not fought any wars since 1979. If you compare that with America, Europe, Japan, at the same stage of development, they were extremely aggressive.
Let's talk human rights, Victor. You've called Uyghurs. in
Wait, sorry.
China's Xinjiang
I'm
province
sorry. I missed that part because I was reading chat. My bad. I was confused at what the fuck you guys were talking about.
be seen through a solely Western lens. and I agree with you, and there's issues there. But I began the show by asking Victor about Japan and India and the Philippines, separate to Taiwan, just the issues in the region. Do you think China is responsible for some of those issues, all of those issues, none of those issues?
Well, China's obviously involved in inevitably
Genocide is
in all
bad.
of those issues. I think that that actually, if you look at the rise of China over the last
Okay, so this guy's
30,
pro-China.
40 years,
I just needed the
spectacular,
context to fill in.
biggest change we've ever seen in history, really. And inevitably, that is changing everything in the region, in the world. That doesn't, but the remarkable thing I'd say, Mehdi, about China's rise is how, you quoted the military figures and so on, but China has not fought any wars since 1979. If you compare that with America, Europe, Japan, at the same stage of development, they were extremely aggressive.
Let's talk human rights, Victor. You've called Uyghurs in China's Xinjiang province your brothers and sisters.
Here we go.
How do you feel about the fact that at least 500,000, some say more, of your brothers and sisters are being detained?
Maybe current America, but like not by much. And no, like China is not a good country. China's not based in any possible way.
In camps by the Chinese government. That's 5% of the adult Uyghur population, one of the highest imprisonment detention rates in the world.
Mehdi, the Uyghurs are a proud ethnic group, one of the 56 ethnic nationalities in China. The Uyghurs, as far as I'm
The Uyghurs.
concerned, are my true brothers and sisters. I know many of them. I travel to Xinjiang regularly, and I talk to many of the Uyghurs.
Yeah, the Uyghurs that you're keeping in concentration camps. I'm sure you do travel there and talk to them regularly.
Now,
Free Cenk Uyghur,
if
yeah.
anyone is serious about accusing China of
Sorry,
practicing
Free Cenk Uyghur.
mass injustice to the Uyghurs, give me the evidence.
I love that even the caption writes Uyghurs.
That's what, say, 500,000 people detained over the years in recent years.
You keep quote Human Rights Watch, and I tell you...
Do you know where they got those numbers from?
I don't know.
Can I tell you?
I don't know.
I thought you were the expert on You've been to Xinjiang, you've spoken to Uyghurs. You never heard these numbers?
I do not know where did they get the source.
So their source is the Xinjiang High People's Procuratorate, which has published its own statistics, Xinjiang official body, which says it's convicted 540,826 people prosecuted in the region since 2017. The United Nations Office for Human Rights looked at satellite footage. They say 10 to 20% of the population. Amnesty estimates 1 million people in camps. 500,000 is a conservative number.
Mehdi, if you quote that organization, please be assured that that organization has been completely discredited.
Yes, Human Rights Watch has been completely discredited.
The false information they came up with.
I love this game we're playing. You give me a source, I give you a source. They're discredited. They've said falsehoods.
Mehdi,
how can we? Let me ask you a question. How many people are in detention in Xinjiang? You give me a number.
Listen, if you look at Xinjiang,
you give me a number.
If you look at, I do not have the number.
Why not?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Wait, this is your job.
500,000 and then say you don't have a number. I have a number. I have sources. How many people do you think are detained?
Let me give you my reason.
No.
I go to Xinjiang a lot. I travel almost
So they're your brothers and sisters.
Xinjiang.
You go there a lot, but you can't tell me how many people are in detention.
Listen, they are happier.
God, I love Mehdi Hasan. Oh yes, they're happier. They're so much happier in the concentration camp. We're really doing them a kindness. It's kind of like, in America with the slavery stuff, like it was, they were happy, they were dancing and they, that's the fucking justification. It's so funny. Like he won't give them a number. He doesn't even have one because he probably doesn't know because he probably doesn't care.
And traditions. Listen.
How many people are in detention, Victor?
Mehdi, let me be philosophical.
No, don't be philosophical. Be numerical.
No.
How many people are in
Don't
detention?
be philosophical, be numerical.
How about, let's let 250,000.
Let me finish my point.
Nope.
If
you answer the question. You can't filibuster, Victor, on the show.
If anyone
how many
promotes
people do you
Xinjiang
think
independence, they will be dealt with in
Got
court.
it. How many of them are in court? How many in detention?
A very small minority.
So you don't have a number. You say they're all happy, but you won't let in independent investigators. You won't let in journalists to go there.
Why not?
They're not allowed to go there.
I will be happy to escort.
It's because China's not the greatest country in the world, and they've been at the level of Israel before Israel started. So
you to Xinjiang.
Really?
I can make that promise.
Really?
I will speak to the Chinese government.
Here's the problem,
to the
Victor.
Chinese
I don't want
embassy.
to escort. I don't want minders. I want to go freely. Will you allow that?
Oh yeah, this is such a telling bit. Really, just this part. Hold on.
Independent investigators. You won't let in journalists
Why
to go
not?
there.
Why not?
They're not allowed to go there.
I will be happy to escort you to Xinjiang.
Really?
I can make that promise.
Really?
I will speak to the Chinese government.
Here's the problem,
to the
Victor.
Chinese
I don't
embassy.
want to escort. I don't want minders. I want to go freely. Will you allow that?
I do not make that decision.
Oh, a moment ago you were going to make all sorts of interruptions.
Lenin,
I said, let me go freely and speak.
Stop doing the tanky bullshit. You can't just say America worse and then erase everything bad about China. You are standing China, pretending that they're the greatest country in the world, but then when something comes up that shows you that they are also very much evil and genocidal, oh, but America's worse, so it's fine. You're doing exactly what he's doing.
Speak to Uyghurs freely. Can I do that with no minders?
I'll be happy.
No Chinese government escort.
I will be happy to make your case.
Oh, just now you said you'd organize it. Now we're about make a case.
Make
you
a
can't
case.
guarantee. Rehan Assad.
It's bad, but you're still defending it by saying America worse. It's every argument with either someone who supports Russia or China. It's always, oh well, America's worse. Okay, America's worse. China's still evil. Fuck China. They're still evil. Like whether or not America's worse is irrelevant. It does not matter in any way, shape, or form. China is still evil. They are genociding a population. They are an authoritarian dictatorship. They you have no civil rights. You have no freedoms. You're constantly monitored. It is pretty much just as bad as America. China's not a lesser evil in any way. I don't support China, but lesser voting, evil voting. China's not the lesser evil. China's the equivalent evil. Do you understand that, like, the Republican Party is CCP pilled? They love China. Trump loves Xi. They're the same. Fascism everywhere in the world is exactly the same because the fascists are not creative. They can't create. It's the same rhetoric. It's not a crime. It's all done under the guise of the rule of law. Same for the current U.S. administration or any other superpower. It's like they're all the same, guys. There's no difference here. None.
Oh, just now you said you'd organize it. Now we're about make a case.
Make
you
a
can't
case.
guarantee. Rehan Assad is a senior fellow at the Atlantic Council, international human rights lawyer. You are a Uyghur who Victor says, brothers and sisters. Your literal brother has been held in an internment camp in Xinjiang since 2016, I believe. Rehan, tell us what happened to your brother and what is your response to Victor, to what you've heard, and what is the latest on your brother, if you don't mind sharing with us.
Yeah, my brother Akbar Assad is a prominent tech entrepreneur. In fact, your own media...
Oh, they do things like green energy and high-speed rail so that genocide is just perfectly fine. And we should just, just because America's worse and they have nice infrastructure, we should just say, okay, China's fine. Or, as you said, the greatest country in the world, which is an insane statement to make. I've been thinking about what is the greatest country in the world. It's probably just like Iceland.
outlet called him a bright
No,
star.
they're not still bad. They are just as bad, if not worse, in some ways. And in some ways, America's worse. Every superpower is terrible in different ways at different levels, but they're pretty much the same. Yeah, Norway, maybe. Norway has a Nazi problem as well. Iceland, I would say. Liechtenstein, sure.
In the tech world. Right before his detention, he was invited on a state gala dinner, and then he disappeared. How could you explain that?
Mehdi.
Okay, well, I couldn't tell because you do often stand China. So, if you're joking, that's fine. Just, I don't like the framing of America's worse, so we should cut China some slack. It's not that they aren't even great, Lennon. I think that they deserve zero credit at all. You shouldn't give them any props. You don't need to give it to China as a W. Now, you can laugh when they do something funny that fucks with the DeepSeek AI stuff. That made me laugh. That's great. It made me laugh at the fact that $1 trillion of the US economy just vanished overnight. That was great. The country is not any better. You can have high-speed rail and that doesn't make it any better. You can have green energy. That doesn't make it any better. It just doesn't. They're not better. They're not worse now, especially not with Trump, but they're not better. Yeah, they do some shit more than we do. And first off, we're moving closer to them, but they also have we also do shit that's good that they don't do. Like, well, we used to, at least. I forget, we don't have a real country anymore in the United States.
Your own media outlet called him a bright star in the tech world. Right before his detention, he was invited on a state gala dinner, and then he disappeared. How could you explain that?
Good question.
Mehdi, again, in China, we have about 20 Muslim ethnic groups. You need to ask one question. Why the extremism existed mostly among the Uyghur communities?
And you're still defending them.
There are extremists among the Uyghur community who want to separate Xinjiang away from China.
Has your brother been convicted of any crime?
Supported by CIA and other Western organizations.
Okay. Rayhan.
That's the real truth.
Hold on.
Talk to the Kazakhs, they don't support.
Do you understand how ridiculous this statement is?
Convicted of a crime?
According to UN, there's no trial has taken place. He just forcibly disappeared. Actually, it amounts to enforced disappearance. But according to the Chinese government, he committed a crime of inciting ethnic discrimination while he's systematically oppressed. And when I challenged that decision, because...
So basically, they just came up with a claim, and they're just like, they slapped it on you. It's like when they're gonna call us all communist radicals, and they're gonna put us in the camps. It's the same fucking shit. There is no trial because they don't care. They don't care about whether someone's guilty or not. They don't care if he actually even, whether or not even incited ethnic discrimination. No. What he was doing is he was saying things that he pissed the government off, and they disappeared him. That's significantly worse than where we are at the US right now. We're not doing that just yet. You know, we're working our way up there, but that's worse than America. I'm sick of the small little, like, oh, well, they reached their green energy roles. I give a fuck. They're disappearing people and doing a genocide. And by the way, you know, like, it's not like we're not also disappearing people and doing a genocide. It's just, you know, not in the same level of it yet. Like, it doesn't matter if they're better at this and they're worse at that. They're all just evil. These are all ghouls.
Under the Chinese law, if you're committed with the alleged crime...
No credit where credit's due. Fuck them. They're demons.
You have 3 years sentence, but he got 15.
They're not even Marxists.
How do you justify that? Then they switch...
Marxism, Leninism isn't Marxism, so they're not Marxist.
So how
or Marxism, Leninism, Maoism, or whatever the fuck they believe. It's not Marxism.
Explain this is a rule of
Bolshevism is also not Marxism.
If people are not pro-independent, then they're fine in Xinjiang. My brother by no means is pro-independent. In fact, your media outlet...
Okay, I'll give them the credit that, sure, they have green energy. Good for them. Yay! Now, can we get back to the talk about the genocide, please?
You mentioned that if people are not pro-independent, then they're fine in Xinjiang. My brother by no means is pro-independent. In fact, your media outlet, Daily Media, invited him to exchange information. Did he split the country when he visited Beijing? Are
you okay with the treatment of her brother?
Madam, in front of this very august body, let me make several very brief points. The real crime involved by some of the Uyghur people are agitating for Xinjiang independence. They violate the One China policy. Now, separate from that...
So basically, if you are a large ethnic and religious group of people that have lived in an area historically for a very, very long time, and I don't know, you live under an oppressive dictatorship and you want to maybe, like, leave. First of all, no evidence that this guy was doing anything like this at all. Like, zero, none, zilch, nada. But let's say, hypothetically, that you do. Does that mean that, like, your entire ethnic group should be put into concentration camps and made to work to death? Is that equal that?
You know, different communities may find their own different problems which need to be sorted out in the course of law. And I hope...
But her brother's been detained for 8 years.
Well, I do not know the charge. I hope I can help you to really look at the case, at the accusation against him.
Yeah,
I
one
hope
last
your
comment.
brother is not guilty of inciting for separatism of Xinjiang. If that is the case, then let the law take its course.
Well, your
What
media outlet
law?
called him a model citizen who is a promoter of ethnic unity in Xinjiang.
Have you been able to speak to your brother or see?
Hans Kraus, I also believe this, but like the idea of a like this has to be done in a good way, because an independence revolution type thing could work very, very well, but it can also be very, very bad depending on the circumstances. I don't believe him. I don't believe this guy talking about how her brother was inciting a revolution. I don't think so. And on top of this, like, at the moment, that's obviously not possible, because this is what they're doing to prevent even the sentiment from getting out. But at this, it's fucked. We don't live in a world that's a reality anymore. Maybe in a couple hundred years.
Citizen
Unfortunately.
who is a promoter of ethnic unity in Xinjiang.
Have you been able to speak to your brother or see?
No, not at all. Like, you know, for 8 years, he's forcibly disappeared. Up until like last month, for the first time, my parents saw him. What kind of justice system is that? You're making a mockery.
8 years, no one saw him. How would you even know that he's alive?
Numerous testimonies the UN has collected. Are you okay with that?
Mehdi, when you talk about torture, think about Guantanamo Bay prison.
Oh, look, oh my God, look, America did it too, so, like, you know, you can't complain about the torture.
And in Xinjiang. Xinjiang is a place of great peace and stability.
The accounts,
Xinjiang
hold on,
as a
Victor, the
separate
accounts of
country.
detainees include being beaten with batons, electric batons, while strapped in a so-called tiger chair. 158, being subjected to interrogation with water.
What the fuck is a tiger chair? And also, yes, peace and stability, being beaten, strapped to a whatever the fuck a tiger chair is, being subjected to waterboarding, electric shock. Like, yeah, of course, yes, peace and stability.
Poured on their faces, prolonged solitary confinement, forced to sit motionless on stools for long
Imperialism
periods.
is bad.
This is the proud
Maybe,
China.
probably you are reading the case in Iraq
Authoritarianism is bad.
committed by the American
No,
soldiers.
I'm reading the UN report in August 2022 from detainees who came out of camps in Xinjiang. Your brothers and sisters, but these brothers and sisters you don't seem to give a damn about. How do you know any torture happened in Iraq out of interest?
I know.
How?
I know for sure.
How?
I talked to the Iraqi ambassador in Beijing.
Okay.
He wept in front of me.
And I'm
He
sure
told me.
Rehan's parents have wept, and you don't seem to care.
And I hope you will tell your brother, be a staunch supporter of one China policy, be a proud
I cannot
Chinese.
tell
Oh, look, if you don't want you to get, you know, if you don't want your brother to get tortured, you should make sure that he is a staunch supporter of the one China policy. This is the tiger chair, eh? That looks horrifying. I was expecting something a lot more ornate and decorative. That's disappointing, actually.
Have wept, and you don't seem
One
to
more
wept.
time, let's hear
in
that
front
again.
of me. I know for sure.
How?
I talked to the Iraqi ambassador in Beijing.
Okay.
He wept in front of me.
Okay.
And I'm
He
sure
told me.
Rehan's parents have wept.
That was
and you
bad.
don't seem to care.
And I hope you will tell your brother, be a staunch supporter of one China policy, be a proud
I cannot
Chinese
tell him he's
Uyghur,
in
rather
prison.
She
than
can't tell him because she can't speak to him because you
Xinjiang
deny
away
access,
from
Victor.
China.
Victor, she can't speak to him. Are you going to arrange it? Are you going to arrange a visit now?
I'll be happy to help you to
Oh,
make
wow.
a phone call.
Oh yeah, I would not be
Promises being made
taking
there.
that trip. Like, fuck that.
Should
You are
follow
all
up on this
witnesses.
afterwards.
You are all witnesses.
We are witnesses indeed. Let me bring in Martin Jakes. Martin, when you hear people say basically there's no torture, everyone's making it up, there's nobody in detention, come on, that's ridiculous, is it not, Martin?
Well, I mean, I don't know all the details of the situation in Xinjiang.
You go and you
Clearly,
disappear.
There's been a big problem for a long time in Xinjiang in terms of the relationship between the Uyghur and the Han. And that came to a head in 2009 when there was a demonstration and 200 people were killed by the Uyghur. And then the Chinese
Wait.
inflicted
Hold on. 200 people were killed by the Uyghurs. Look that up again.
the same kind of damage on the hand. So this is a deep problem in my view. And it's not
One visit
easy to
policy,
pass on.
yeah.
There's no other problem in China of this kind.
Yeah.
But
A lot of people consider it
this
a
is a
genocide.
big problem.
That's a pretty big problem.
It's a very big problem for them, yeah. But the other thing, Mehdi, I'd say, is that the point that's being made about separatism is true. That I think that the 30 million Muslims in China.
If there are 30 million of a group that want to leave your country, I'm sorry, but they should just let them. What the fuck? There's 30 million people that want to leave your country. And you're gonna what? You're gonna put them in camps, tie them to the fucking tiger chair, and torture them? What kind of demonic shit? It's 30 million people. It's not a small separatist group. That's more than the entire population of Australia.
The Hui is the biggest single minority.
Yeah.
They are completely integrated. But
Well,
the problem in Xinjiang is clearly the issue of separatism.
There's 12 million
Stephen,
Uyghurs.
let me ask you this question. Victor's making a lot of promises tonight about me going to Xinjiang and Rehan going to Xinjiang and everyone's going to be fine. How safe, how okay?
Because they don't want to give up land or power.
How free do you think you are when you go to China?
When I go to China, and I haven't been for some time, I'm watched almost 24/7. There's always someone I can spot who's trailing me. So I know when my hotel room is upgraded suddenly to a spacious suite, I'm now in a place which is bugged. So someone who's a mild critic and a scholarly critic like me doesn't feel safe in China. By contrast, I feel safer in Taiwan.
Victor, when you hear Stephen say he doesn't feel that
This
safe.
guy's a mild critic of China. What do you think would happen if I went to China? Just I went on a vacation trip. Like, I'm not even a big streamer. I'm not known. What do you think would happen to me? Instant death. Are you fucking kidding me? Of course, they know everything. They're watching everything. That's their whole fucking thing. That's their entire MO, is let's watch everything.
If going to China prefers going to Taiwan, when we talk about freedom of speech, for example,
Which
in
does
China.
not exist
I live in the United
China.
States of America, where I can say that Donald Trump is hypothetically, an orange-faced narcissist.
I do have to say, I'm kind of sick of the orange discourse. It feels so childish. But also, the list of countries that I could visit is ever shrinking.
I also live here in the UK. I'm British. Here you have Rishi Sunak, the former Prime Minister, was called a pint-sized loser by a Labour politician.
And a wanker.
No one in China has that kind of freedom to talk about their government, to talk about President Xi Jinping in that way. You can't say anything like that. You wouldn't dare say anything like that because you know what will happen to you when you go home. You know what will happen to your family. That's what China is.
Mehdi, if you do anything, write anything, email or chat to your friends about taking anything action against, let's say, Prime Minister of Britain,
That's not what I
President
said.
of the United States.
You see, this is not even a remotely similar example. If I in Australia or in America, I say, you know what? The Prime Minister or the President is a big fat sack of shit and he's a moron. And I hope that lightning strikes him and kills him. I can say that. Now, I'm not saying that because, I really don't want to piss either of these governments off right now. I'd rather not get drone striked, but I still can say that. Whereas if I said that in China, the guys are immediately barging in the room. Like, gun to my head, you're going to the camps. Instantly. Considering constant comparison between USA, China, AI, and Wiki has this to say about it, while USA is transitioning or in the process of fast implementation of inverted totalitarianism, China cannot accurately be classified as an inverted totalitarian state. It is more appropriately described as an authoritarian regime with a strong totalitarian tendencies, and they have this for decades, becoming a sort of role model for others to abuse power. Yeah, I agree with that. I'm not sure that, we're going towards inverted totalitarianism in the United States anyway. It's fascism with liberal aspects. That's what it is. Now, that's the discourse, but the actions show much more oligarchy than fascistic liberalism.
That's
Very
what I said.
swiftly.
Victor, you're a master.
I mean,
story.
I hope so, but
China,
they both come with a lot of the same shit, so
said. I said Rishi Sunak was called a pint-sized loser. Would you call Xi Jinping a pint-sized loser?
Mehdi, each country has different sensitivities. In UK...
So you're admitting you can't criticize the Chinese government?
No. You can criticize the government if you are positive in your attitude.
You can criticize the government if you're positive?
Yes.
You can criticize the government's actions if you add in like, well, you know, this was a good thing, but it would be better if we had it, you know, this way. You know, I think this might, that's the only criticism you can make. It's fucking ridiculous.
Is that the new philosophy?
No, if you can come up with your...
You've got to come up with nice insults?
No.
What then?
Constructive advice.
Constructive advice?
For example,
oh, I'm loving
in
this.
dealing with the aging public...
What's some constructive criticism I could give to, I don't know, concentration death camps? Constructively, I'd like to say it might be better for social cohesion and the popularity of the great dragon emperor, whatever, if we didn't do that. I still get shot in the head.
What should be the government do? What should this governor should do?
But you can't say the president's lied.
Yeah, it's been a fun one, Wick. What's up?
It will be dealt with very swiftly in China. You cannot say that.
Hold on, one more time.
What should be the government do? What should this governor should do?
But you can't say the president's lied. He's a liar.
It will be dealt with very swiftly in China. You cannot say that.
That is the most honest.
You just literally, the president is a liar. He lied. You would be dealt with swiftly. Are you fucking kidding me? Back guys, totally agree with you, Visora. I can go outside right now and openly say Starmer is a twat. Nothing will happen in China. Say that, but literally, like, the example that Mehdi gave is he lied. He's a liar. Not even calling him a twat, just saying that he lied. No pretense, bluntly said it without any mask. Yes, you will be swiftly dealt with.
Honest thing you've said tonight. Victor Gao, we're going to take a break. That's part one of...
You can criticize China's regime. There are just certain forms of criticism that are banned in basically every country aside from... That is so not true. Name one criticism that is not banned in the United States, but is banned in most other countries that you can give like the government. By the way, like, I'm Turkish. I was born in Turkey. Right now, even though Turkey is a very much an authoritarian state, I can still say shit out in public. You know? I can say, fuck Erdogan. Now, my parents will be like, shh, what the fuck are you saying? Like, they'll come and get you. And they might, but they're not constant. They're not gonna, you're not swiftly dealt with, right? There's a difference here. You can say, I don't know, in Australia, I can say pretty much whatever the hell I want as long as it's not hate speech. It varies from country to country, but basically European countries has laws against certain form of ideological dissent. Name one, please, because you're giving me a very, very broad hypothetical here with literally nothing going on. Holocaust denial is illegal in many European countries, for an example. Yeah, because that should be illegal in many countries. Holocaust denial should be illegal because the Holocaust happened, and Holocaust denial is dangerous and will lead to more Holocaust happening. Hate speech is a good example. Okay, yes, none of this is hate speech. Saying that the president lied? How are you're comparing hate speech and Holocaust denial to saying that the president lied and is a liar? Yes, some censorship is good. There is no such thing as unlimited free speech. At the same time, there is, because you can say whatever the fuck you want. You just have to deal with the consequences no matter what. But there is no place in the world where there's unlimited free speech. You can't, in America, you can't say fire in a crowded movie theater. You'll get arrested for that if there's no fire. Yet people are punished for dissent from regime ideology. But that's the issue. You don't punish people for dissent in Germany. Well, it depends on the context. If you believe there's a fire, sure. But like if you're in the middle of a movie and you shout fire for fun, no, you can't do that. You can't say you want to kill the president, for example. Technically, hate speech is also illegal in the United States. We just don't enforce it anymore. Now there's no more fucking fact checking anymore. That should be illegal. Yeah. but all the ideological positions are legal in the USA, and you should have ideological conversation availability in China. The thing is, we should ban more of the speech in the USA. I don't think that you should be allowed to lie openly, willingly, and freely on television. That's a piece of speech that I would like to censor. I think that you should have to, like, if you're charged with knowingly lying as, let's say, a politician, an elected official, a media, like a newscaster, someone who works on news or politics related live streams or influencers. If you're openly and willingly, knowingly lying about something and you get charged, you should go to court and they should have to prove in any other, like the same as any other case, that without any doubt that you did this thing and that this is true, and then you should go and be punished for it. You should go to, well, ideally, I don't really believe in prison. You should go to rehabilitation. That's the bastardization of the Popper's paradox of tolerance. I don't really give a shit. That's the thing, right? The paradox of tolerance is just, if you are tolerant of intolerance, then intolerance wins out. The only way to deal with Nazis is to get rid of them. Take a look at what happened in Germany after World War II. After World War II in US-occupied German land in 1946, when you polled the Germans there and asked them, how many of you think that the Nuremberg trials were unfair? It was 6% of the people who lived there. 4 years later, 1950, we asked them again, it was 1 in 3. So yes, the paradox of tolerance is true. If you are tolerant of intolerance, then the intolerance will grow. What's up, Zach? Damn, y'all are popping in right now, and I would literally need to pee so bad. So, I'm sorry, I'll be right back. Yeah, but the intolerance, Popper meant people who want to circumvent norms like free speech. I don't want to circumvent norms like free speech. I think it's protecting free speech, and it's protecting democracy to, A, make it illegal for people who are in positions of power and influence to knowingly and willingly lie about things that impact other, like, again, politicians, elected officials, judges, police, media, newscasters, whatever the fuck. If you're in a position of power and you're knowingly and willingly lying on fucking national television, that should be illegal. You should have to prove it in a court of law, like anything else, but it should be illegal. I think that it should be illegal to be a Nazi. In South Australia, it is illegal to do a Sieg Heil. It is illegal in Germany to do a Sieg Heil. It is illegal to have hate speech in America, though it's not enforced. It's illegal to do hate speech in Australia, where it is enforced. Germany is a case in point where banning free speech has allowed Nazism to bubble under the surface with greater sense of grievance. That's because it wasn't actually treated. Germany was never denazified. We never even bothered. They were already Nazis by the time that we left. They just banned the shit and then it's simmered under the surface. You have to get rid of the Nazis if you want to not have Nazis grow. That would be intolerance according... I don't care if it's intolerance. I am intolerant of intolerance. I am. All of the Nazis deserve no rights. They should be put in the hole. Because the existence of one, given time and space, will create like 50. How would you denazify a country? The Nuremberg trials. I'll be right back. The Nuremberg trials, with no exceptions, no Project Paperclip, none of that shit, you do not allow the ideology to continue existing. That is how you, like, to deal with fascists in this fashion, like a Nazi fascist. You have to treat them the way they want to treat you. You have to rip it out from the root, or it will continue to grow. That is, like, it's what they want to do to us. And the only way to protect us is to do that. It is not even, I would argue that treating a Nazi the way they want to treat you is pro-democracy. Germany's own version of the CIA made by Nazi German military leaders. True. Nazis should suffer the same which they did to other people. I mean, the Nuremberg trials were a good way to do that. We should have just, you know, done it to completion. A hole will suffice. Yeah, you don't need to kill them. You can just, you know, put them in a steel cage in space and just, you know, put them in a little rocket that has like a little habitat in it and then launch them into space. That's fine. Elon's appearance and speech at the far-right Nazi rally, they're Nazis for sure, was fucking interesting. Well, I mean, it's the AfD. Of course they're Nazis. I prefer Chomsky's approach of allowing Nazi speech to be challenged openly. They lose debate. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. Because again, 1946, in US-occupied Nazi Germany, post-Nazi Germany, 6% of people thought the Nuremberg trials were unfair. We gave them 4 years. That became 1 in 3. Majority of Nazis got less than 6 months. The lefties got years and decades in prison after World War II in Germany. Literally, we did not even bother to denazify. It's the same issue that we have with the South. We didn't do Reconstruction hard enough. We should not kill innocent people. Of course not. We should kill nobody. What's up, Shardspark? And hello, Mark. I don't think everything sucks. I'm optimistic. No, I am too. I was just having a shitty morning. Don't mind me. I aced the citizenship test with a perfect score, Shardspark. They gave you 45 minutes to answer 20 questions. It took me 5. Any semi-capable debater ought to be able to expose that. Except the thing is, Lost nobody believes in reality anymore, and the Nazis don't debate in good faith. And most of most of the world has been dumbed down to the point where they can't read. So
ahead with our guest Victor Gao. In part 2, we'll be talking about...
I'm not saying kill the Nazis. I'm saying we should remove the Nazis from society entirely. Every single one of them. Doesn't mean kill them. I don't want to kill anybody. I'm against the death penalty. We can just launch them into space. Give them stuff. I don't know. Go have you guys can go live on fucking Mars or something. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Just not here. I don't want them here. I don't want them to exist, and the only way to continue to not have Nazis is to get rid of all of them. And AfD supporters would be Nazis? Not all of them, but quite a lot of them. Just like how not every MAGA is a Nazi, but quite a lot of them are. And quite a lot of them also can still be rehabilitated. As I've said before, I don't believe that you should just send people to prison. I think step 1 should be an attempt at rehabilitation. And that rehabilitation can take a while. They should, as long as they are showing effort to try and rehabilitate, then they get to stay in the rehabilitation center until they are rehabilitated. Until they've learned empathy and critical thinking and the importance of social cohesion. And if not, then you put them in prison forever. You put them in the hole. Put someone like Mehdi with facts against the best Nazi speaker. He would like literally, Mehdi would absolutely destroy any Nazi. And it would not matter even remotely. Because nobody cares. The Nazis don't listen. The rest of the country doesn't listen. If you perpetuate a lie of some external danger that's going to make your world believe in disappear, it will be very easy to sway the masses when done in dire times. That's literally what they do. Most people don't have the attention span. Most people literally cannot read. 65% of US adults can functionally not read at a 6th grade level. They could not read and comprehend a Harry fucking Potter book. I'd be fine sending all the billionaires to space with one-way trip. I mean, after we take all their money, sure, and redistribute it. Well, what if they have empathy and critical thinking and value social cohesion, but still hold views that you consider Nazi views? You can't. That's not possible. You can't have empathy and critical thinking and still be a Nazi. The empathy and being a Nazi are not compatible with each other. It just doesn't work. You can't do it. If you only have empathy for the group that you consider superior, then you don't have empathy.
President Xi Jinping will be talking about the...
I have a pretty broad view of what I consider as a Nazi. No, I mean National Socialists. I mean people who believe in eugenics and genetic superiority, people who believe in authoritarianism, all of this at the same time, by the way. I'm not saying like different groups. I'm explaining what I believe is a Nazi. People who believe that they are better because of their genetics than some other ethnic groups or religious groups or whatever the fuck. People that don't believe in human rights, equal rights for everybody. People who want to kill several millions of people. People who want to ethnically cleanse their country. People who do Nazi salutes. People who call themselves National Socialists. People who call themselves Nazis. People who... this also goes into it. So, little context here. Not all pedophiles are Nazis, but all Nazis are pedophiles. So those go too. Like, it's just it's not difficult to see who a Nazi is. And again, you try and rehabilitate before we put them into the spaceship and launch them to Mars, where they can go live there and have their little, like, peasant brain ethnic society, ethno-state on Mars. That's fine. Shang Kang is the most literal Nazi chatter that you will ever find on Twitch. I mean, I am kind of getting that vibe a little bit. People who have the view of a utopia that involves helping, wiping out whole groups or races of people to achieve. Yes. People who say, you know, they're National Socialists, but then go and kill all the labor unions. People who are evil. Nazis aren't people like you and me. They're human beings, but they're not people. And I will stand by this. Nazis are not people, even though they are humans, because being a person requires empathy. And Nazis do not have this. There's a reason why they all love AI art. There's a reason why none of them can think for themselves. There's a reason why, like in the video I showed you earlier of the, like, coal lobby people in Australia having their little secret Christmas party. There's a reason they're all wearing pink Make Coal Great Again hats. It's because you need that empathy. You need a soul to be creative. And they can't. They are, like, they just function on input-output. They are stupid. All Nazis are genuinely stupid. They're just nationalists, not socialists. Yeah, they just call themselves National Socialists. Do you think it would be possible, for example, for a German to say, I want to keep Germany white by severely limiting non-white immigration and not be a Nazi? No. And like, I don't care if they're German or English or American. That is, whether or not they are a Nazi, that is a Nazi belief. And if they believe that, they believe a whole lot more.
The issue of dictatorship, and we'll hear from our very patient audience here in London's Conway Hall.
Gotta say, for no sleep in a 7-hour stream, I'm doing pretty good.
Welcome back to Head to Head.
I'm not tired or anything.
English. My guest this week is Victor Gao, former interpreter to the late Chinese leader Deng Xiaoping, vice president of the Center for China and
True,
Globalization
leftist Leo,
in Beijing,
exactly.
and an ardent promoter of the People's Republic. We're also joined by an expert panel here in London's Conway Hall and a live audience who we're going to hear from shortly. Victor, before we get to the audience, in 2019, on this very show, I asked the question, is Xi Jinping gearing up to be president for life, dictator-in-chief? I mean, he's the most powerful leader of China since Mao. He's abolished presidential term limits. He's now in his third 5-year term as president. So I'll ask again tonight, is he now president for life, a true dictator?
For the record, first of all, Chinese President Xi Jinping will never be president for life. There will be a time limit When it will be handled according to the Chinese.
So he won't be president for life. He'll step down when he's like 87 and he's like, okay, that's enough of that. Let's, yeah, it sounds like it to me. Yeah, literally.
Legal system and constitution. Secondly, there is no dictator in China. Why? Because dictatorship simply doesn't work. Democracy means modernization. And how can you explain profound transformation of China over the past 45 years in China if you have dictatorship or authoritarian rule? No, every leader in China will be put into a team.
Well, that's because you're retarded, Shang Yang.
More important than individualism.
There is a very clear definition of Nazism. And I make it a point to distinguish fascism from Nazism, from authoritarianism. I absolutely distinguish each and every types of right-wing authoritarian ideologies. Nazis are Nazis. Sorry, don't care. Facts don't care about your feelings.
Maybe Jiang Zemin or Hu Jintao, everyone knows Xi Jinping has centralized power, consolidated power.
You know what? In fact, hold on. While we're here, let me just ethnically cleanse this Nazi. See ya.
You say there's a way to get rid of him, but there isn't actually a legal way to get rid of him. He's in power for life, and he likes being a dictator. Why are we pretending?
Mehdi, allow me to remind you, the Communist Party of China, which is the ruling party of China,
they're not
has
communist.
A membership of up to 100 million people. Yeah. It's well structured.
China is not in any way communist. They have a market economy, which is literally like one of the foundational requirements of fucking communism, to not have that. You can't have a market economy and be a communist. I'm so sick of everyone still thinking that China is a communist country.
Every province, every state-owned enterprise, etc., will have a party cell.
There's no division or debate within the Chinese Communist Party.
Listen to me. No single person in China can dictate to a population of 1.4.
25. I just want to, just one more time. Where was this?
Escort.
I will be happy to make.
Over here?
What kind of justice system?
Sure, Rehan's parents have wept. And that's ridiculous, is it not? Basically, we are witnesses indeed. A lot of promises being made here, guys. You should.
Way is the biggest single.
I just want to get that clip one more time.
How do you think you are when you
almost?
Here we go.
I don't know, China. Here, just talk about their government, to talk about President Xi Jinping in that way. You can't say anything like that. You wouldn't dare say anything like that because you know what will happen to you when you go home. You know what will happen to your family. That's what China is.
Mehdi, if you do anything, write anything, email or chat to your friend, President of the United States,
I didn't say that.
You'll be dealt with very swiftly.
Victor, you're a master of straw men. That's not what I said. I said Rishi Sunak was called a pint-sized loser. Would you call Xi Jinping a pint-sized loser?
Mehdi, each country has different sensitivities. In UK,
so you're admitting you can't criticize the Chinese government?
No. You can criticize the government if you are positive in your attitude. What could be the government do? What should this governor very swiftly?
Where is it? Oh, damn, I just wanted to find him saying you'll be dealt with swiftly again. That was so funny.
You say there's a way to get rid of him, but there isn't actually a legal way to get rid of him. He's in power for life, and he likes being a dictator. Why are we pretending?
Xi will step down when he's old enough that he wants to retire.
The Party of China, which is the ruling party of China, has a membership of up to 100
Multiculturalism is the best.
It's well structured. Every province, every state-owned enterprise, etc., will have a party cell.
There's no division or debate within the Chinese Communist Party.
Listen to me. No single person in China can dictate to a population of 1.4 billion people and 100 million membership of the Communist Party of China.
Okay, let's test that.
That's a mission impossible.
Let's test that proposition. The president won a vote last.
Italian food is shit, I will say, just off the bat, because like Italian food from Italy is shit because they don't season their food.
Won a vote. I'll put that in air quotes. Do you know the tally of last year's presidential vote in favor of Xi Jinping by the National People's Congress? Part of that structure you just advertised.
7,000%.
Can you tell our audience here?
I think it's up to about 100%. That doesn't.
2,952 to 0.
Yes, that's exactly what I said.
Could you not find a few people just to make it look a little even? One or two?
Mehdi, it's not surprising. It's not surprising.
2,952 to 0. That's one-man rule, my friend.
In the Chinese system, everyone supports the Chinese president.
Because if you
just
don't,
told
you'll
us
be
that.
dealt with swiftly. Again, you can't even say that he lied.
Seconds ago, there's this huge system, a big party, one guy, and then you're like, oh no, but everyone supports him. 0 votes against him. One person out of 3,000 couldn't say, Xi Jinping, not my guy. One.
What if he is the guy for all the Communist Party of China? You
What
never
if?
know.
Well,
never know.
if that's the case, then your entire first answer is redundant because it doesn't matter if there's 100 million people. They all have to follow the leader.
Yep.
He does command huge respect among the Chinese people.
Yeah,
as
huge respect because they're all afraid of getting disappeared.
well as
You
in
say
the ruling
respect, I
party.
say fear. Do you know how many names were on the ballot papers that were given in 2013?
One.
How many names were on the ballot paper when they went to choose the president? Can you tell our audience?
I think there is only one candidate.
Yeah. There were no other names.
I swear I didn't remember that was the answer,
that's a
but
real
like,
secure leader. A guy who knows he has the confidence of his people. You get to vote, but only for me, and none of you can actually vote against me.
Mehdi,
Yeah.
we do not want to end up in a situation with 6 prime ministers in 80 years.
Yeah. So you prefer a dictatorship?
oh yeah, so no democracy, you know? Obviously, you know, the UK fucked up pretty hard, and government's pretty shit over there, but it's still a democracy. You still can, I don't know, criticize the government. You can run and try and be the leader if you want to. Batgaz, if you're still here, why don't you run for prime minister? You can. Could you do this in China? Fuck no.
Oh, we prefer a system that works for the benefit of the Chinese people.
I've not said a word about
No,
what
you prefer a system that works for the benefit of the rich Chinese people, just like everyone else.
works or not. You got great economic growth.
You know, honestly, that is my favorite part of this good guy Dari. He gives direct answers. The mask off. He's not trying to confiscate as much. Now, obviously, there's some things that he literally cannot say because when he goes home, they will disappear him if he says them, and you can tell. But like, no, he's not bullshitting here.
Look at the
But you're a
economic
dictatorship.
growth. There is no dictatorship, Mehdi.
You just
you
admitted
want me to,
that there's no name on the ballot
Do you
paper,
want me to
no
get
votes
sent to the
against him,
camps? I
and
can't
they all
say
just
that,
follow
Mehdi.
him. That's a dictatorship.
Mehdi, when you have
You
a
can say
succession
my name
of
multiple
the
times,
king after
but
the
it's a
queen,
dictatorship.
How many candidates are there on the ballot paper?
How many? What? King and queen?
When the king succeeds the queen,
Yes.
how many candidates are there on the ballot paper?
King does
how
not
many,
Does that
make any
Britain
decisions.
not a democracy?
Well, you're asking the wrong guy. I'm a Republican, so I think we should be a full democracy and get rid of the monarchy.
Same.
But I can say
Based.
that here. You can't say that in China.
You cannot take any
Ooh,
action
burn.
against them.
Yes, I can actually. I can go out on the street. I can hold up a placard and say, let's get rid of King Charles. I can create a whole protest outside Buckingham Palace. You can't do that in China. You can't even put one other person's name on a ballot paper. That's how insecure your leader is.
Mehdi, I'm a lawyer.
Because, Phantom, why is he comparing it to a monarchy? Because he has to. He spent the first half of this debate every time Mehdi said something that, like, the Chinese were doing that was horrible. Like, oh, well, you know, America bad, too. Because that's the only argument they have.
In my capacity as a lawyer, I can give you a long list of things that you cannot do regarding the monarchy here in Britain.
I'm not debating that. I'm saying that we have an elected government. We get to choose. We get to swap 6 prime ministers, God help us. But
The monarchy doesn't make any fucking decisions anyway. It's just a figurehead. The government, parliament makes the decisions. The prime minister is the one who has the power. Parliament has the power. Only messes up his argument comparing it to a monarchy? Well, of course, because he has no real argument. He's wrong. Mehdi is absolutely correct.
we get to pick. Everyone in this room who's a citizen gets to pick.
Listen, you end up with your mini budget, which bankrupt the whole
But that's
country.
an honest answer, Victor. But Victor, I admire that because that's an honest answer. Your answer is, it's a dictatorship that works. At least say that.
Mehdi, please, I'm a lawyer. I don't want to get disappeared.
No.
No, you can't. You keep dodging. 1 minute you say,
I'm not
it's not a
dodging.
dictatorship. Then I show you it is. You say, but it's working. We've got growth.
Mehdi,
Pick one.
Mehdi, if that is your point, I will seriously urge you to do more homework about how the Chinese system works.
Okay, let's talk about the
Because-
Chinese system because I did a little bit of homework.
You but sorry, you didn't do the homework that's that is approved for school in China. You need to do that homework.
Xi Jinping put his name in the constitution. That's weird.
Well,
The leader of the country put his own name in the constitution while he's president. No one's done that since Mao. None of the other Chinese presidents, not Hu Jintao, not your old boss Deng Xiaoping, none of them did it. Did they? Or am I wrong?
It's wrong.
Who did
The
it?
Chinese constitution has been most frequently amended compared with any other country.
Am I wrong about what I just said with my little bit of
Mao's
homework?
name was put into the constitution.
That's what I said.
Deng's name was put into the
Not
constitution.
while he was president.
And Jiang Zemin's
Not while
name
he
was put into the constitution.
Not while they were sitting presidents, and you know that. Tell our crowd here, not while they were president. They didn't do it themselves.
According to my recollection, each of
Not
these
your
names
recollection.
were put into the constitution
Not while they were sitting
while
presidents.
the leaders were still alive.
Okay, so
But
I'm
not
right.
while they were in
while
charge.
president. I love the little slip.
And-
Even Donald Trump, one of the great narcissists of our time, has not proposed yet putting his name into the U.S. Constitution. If
To be
you are the
fair,
president of
if
China, you're elected.
This didn't age really well because now they're talking about how they want to put Trump's face on Mount Rushmore. So, you know, that is assuring that somehow their constitution that has been heavily amended. I mean, to be fair, it's not like our constitution hasn't also been pretty like heavily amended, but it's not about how amended it is. It's about what the amendments say.
Without any opponents, no names on the ballot paper, 0 votes against you. You put your name in the Constitution.
It's probably just a
are taught
bullshit
about
thing.
Xi Jinping thought in primary school. That is not just a dictatorship. That is a cult of personality.
I don't think China believes in personal.
So why are
personality
6-year-olds
cult.
learning about Xi Jinping thought?
Wait, China doesn't believe in what?
China believes in personal.
So why are
personality
6-year-olds
cult.
learning about Xi Jinping thought? I'm pretty sure no 6-year-olds learned about Liz Truss's mini budget.
Oh, did you guys not hear that Google Maps is going to make it say the Gulf of America, but only for people in America? Everywhere else in the world, it's still going to say Gulf of Mexico, but because America will bitch about it, if you're in the U.S., it's going to say the Gulf of America. There should be a counter for how many times he says Mehdi's name. True. Honestly, I still am not over the fact of him calling the Uyghurs the Uyghurs. The Uyghurs.
Victor.
The Chinese system is such that once you orient the country in one direction, everyone follows the suit.
Do they follow or are they ordered to follow? They don't follow out of choice.
That's a good question.
It's like a vehicle with 4 wheels. Here, you have 4 wheels aligned in different directions, opposing directions. In China, the 4 wheels of a car all lined up in one direction.
Well, they don't.
Yes, the one direction is you getting to work 80 hours a week so that the rich Chinese could take your money. Oh, look, guess what? Our government is also now all wheels in one direction. Sometimes having a debate on which way to go does tend to produce, I don't know, a better outcome than just following the one guy.
Well, they don't, Victor. Let me give you an example.
That's the Chinese way of doing it.
Former Foreign Minister Qin Gang was removed from his post and has not been seen in public since June 2023. A few months
Do you know
later,
how many
China's Defense
Chinese
Minister, General Li
military officials, state officials, or just get disappeared every now and again? China just does a purge every now and again.
Shangfu disappeared from public view for months, has now been expelled from the party, accused of corruption. That's at least 2 ministers that disappeared just in the last year. With apologies to Oscar
Yeah, it's
Wilde,
pretty fucked,
to lose
Phantom.
1 minister might be unfortunate. To lose 2 is careless, is it not?
Do you know the point I want to make? This means China is really merciless in dealing with corruption of all kinds, even among the
Your
highest
foreign
ranks.
minister.
Yeah, merciless in dealing with corruption of all kinds, including corruption of thought.
Defense minister. Imagine Antony Blinken and Lloyd Austin just disappeared tomorrow. We don't know where they are. We've never seen them again. That's not normal, Victor.
Listen.
Oh, it's like
corruption
J.D.
is
Vance.
rampant in
How do we know
China.
they're corrupt? They just disappeared. Where's the trial?
Allow
Where's the
me
trial,
to
Victor?
finish my point. Corruption of all kinds
Yeah.
in China need to be dealt with.
So where's
with
the trial?
Mercilessness.
So where's the trial? Where's the trial of the former foreign minister? We don't even know where he is.
Mehdi, those things you don't know doesn't mean doesn't happen.
Where is the trial for this man you're just accusing of corruption?
Xinjiang was my good friend for more than 20 years.
Where is he then?
He is involved in corruption.
Where is he?
And he is dealt with very swiftly.
Where is he, Victor?
Regardless of
He's your
the
good friend. You don't know where he
seniority.
is.
No, he was dealt with really swiftly. Yeah, I know where he is. He's in a ditch. If I say this, I will also be in the ditch, Mehdi. You're not understanding me. I live in a dictatorship and I can't say the things like that you're trying to get me to say. You're trying to get me killed here.
Regardless
Where
of
is the former
seniority
foreign minister
his
of China?
position.
This is not a hard question. We're not asking where Rehan's brother in the middle of Xinjiang is that you can dodge. Where is the former foreign minister of China who disappeared? And by the way, he wasn't accused of corruption. The spokesman came out and said he has health reasons. Then corruption came later. by
Yeah,
the
the
way.
health
Where did he
reasons
go, your
are
friend?
like I
That
got
means
shot
there
and
is
put
a
in the hole.
process, And the process,
The process
is
starts
not
with
ju-
one lie that he's ill, and then the next lie is he's corrupt.
And then the third part of the process is they shoot him in the head and then they put him in the hole.
He may be ill. You never know.
Thought crimes
He's
in
probably
heaven.
ill
Yeah,
after
exactly.
He's been in a Chinese
He
prison.
may be ill now.
Yeah,
You never know. But
exactly.
What, hold on. What was that?
It starts with one lie that he's ill, and then the next lie is he's corrupt.
he may be ill. You never know.
I mean, he's probably ill after he's been in a Chinese prison.
He may be ill now.
Yeah,
You never know. But,
exactly.
But at least...
Like, I love how mask off he is. Well, he might be ill now, you know.
Lost his job
Victor, where
because
is he?
of his corruption.
Last question.
Beaten
Where
a
is
tiger
he?
chair, yeah.
He's somewhere in China. You will never see him. He is among the 1.4
Insane.
billion people.
And no, it's not just him. There's many other people who have disappeared.
You're
The
never
previous
gonna
defense
see
minister
him.
Disappeared. The Ministry of Industry and Technology disappeared. The former Interpol president disappeared. In China, you just disappear if they don't like you. That's the rule of law in China.
I'm so
in fact,
Yeah, literally, he's like, well, he might be ill now. Well, where is he? Well, he's in China. You're just never going to see him. It's so open and overt that it's kind of refreshing after listening to an American politician talk, you know, like as someone said earlier, but like, Jesus Christ.
They disappear because if they keep doing their job, they will bring greater disaster.
Victor, be careful what you wish for, because everyone's watching
They
this.
have to disappear, because if they keep doing what they're doing, they're gonna make a problem for the Supreme Dragon Emperor. That's a Vosh line, I just realized. I was like, because I thought I was gonna say tiger, and then I said dragon. I was like, where am I getting that from? Oh, Vosh said that.
Show, and if you get something wrong tonight, maybe you disappear.
If I disappear, I hope you will bail me out.
I'd have to find you first, and China is apparently a big country. I want to bring in Stephen Chan, professor at the University of London School of Oriental African Studies. Stephen, Xi Jinping's policies, his crackdown on dissidents. I mean, China was never a democracy. Other presidents were also dictatorial. But can we agree that Xi Jinping is on a different level when it comes to repression at home, the consolidation of power? I assume you disagree with Victor's description of him as part of a, I don't know, 4 week.
You want to know why Xi Jinping is on a different level? Because Xi Jinping is ideologically a capitalist. That's really it. Like, Mao was terrible, but he was ideologically aligned with what he said that he believed. Now, he was stupid, and he fucked up, and he was not good in any way, but he did believe what he said. He believed in Marxist, Leninist, Maoism, some amalgamation of bullshit that's not actually like it. He didn't. At least Mao killed the slumlords. Sure, okay, I give him credit for that one, but like, he believed his ideology, whereas Xi Jinping pretends that the country is communist, where they have a bigger like market economy than most of the world does, and he is ideologically a capitalist. How many rich people are in China right now? If you go on RedNote, every single person from China that you're interacting with on RedNote is part of the bourgeoisie of China. RedNote exists and is available for like you to download in America because it exists for Chinese people who travel nationally, so that they can take videos and post them back to China. That's the only reason it's available. The people who use that app and like they're not the average Chinese worker. The average Chinese worker is working brutal shifts and then like crawling home, dying, eating a shitty little meal that they can barely afford, and then going to sleep. Life in China is not even remotely better than it is in America right now. Right now, in America, with our shitty standard of living, still probably have a higher standard of living than the average Chinese person. Not the upper class Chinese, but the vast majority.
Wheel car all driving in the same direction happily.
He is just another rich capitalist, exactly.
He is a very, very strong president. And I think that the real test of all of this is how China has treated Hong Kong with the increasing clampdown on dissent and free expression.
I brought up this earlier.
When they were meant to have a degree of freedom and a one country, two system way of approaching life. We can't see any evidence of vibrant debate in China. And I'd note that one of the great disappointments of my life is when I read Chinese academic works, everyone toes a party line. No one does independent research to publish, as it were, anything critical of, for instance, not just Xi Jinping, anything critical about Chinese foreign policy.
Well, they might disappear.
Or really like any policy. Hey, look, I know this is Sky News, but like I don't care right now. Hong Kong issues arrest warrant for activist 19, in UK 5 other pro-democracy campaigners. Now, this is Sky News, fuck them, but like this is a thing. This is a thing, and Hong Kong is now under the control of China. Therefore, this is China issues arrest warrant for activist 19 in the UK and 5 other pro-democracy campaigners. So that's to support that point right there.
They might not get promoted in any case.
Rehan Assad is a senior fellow at the Atlantic Council International Human Rights Law. Rehan, in part one, we talked in depth about the repression against the Uyghurs and your own personal situation. In 2014, Xi Jinping privately called for an all-out struggle, quote, against terrorism and to show absolutely no mercy after a visit to Xinjiang. How much do you believe Xi Jinping is driving what's happening in Xinjiang? How much do you think he's responsible for the repression in China?
Well, the matter of the fact is that all of which happened under current administration. Right, so many scholars are attributing to him. It happened under his reign. He's the one who said absolutely no mercy, stamping out roots and branches of the Uyghurs, breaking out their connection. And these are the policies implemented under his leadership. So
oh, look. This looks very much like something that would be in China. Something that our man over here, what's his name, Victor Gao, would be defending, right? What is it? Applications for federal government are now being asked to, applicants rather, are being asked to prove when they had their MAGA revelation. Career civil servants are being indoctrinated about who they voted for. Oh, look, you know, this seems very much in line with everything that Victor Gao is saying.
Very hard to separate Xi Jinping from the current policy Xinjiang.
Martin Jakes, author of the best-selling book When China Rules the World. You heard Victor talk about, well, we can't be a dictatorship because we're doing so well, the economy is doing amazing, we don't have Liz Truss mini budgets, etc. But then you get into the debate about, can dictatorship and growth coexist? Do you need to have democracy to go alongside that? And I think about the pandemic, Martin, and I think about China's reaction to the pandemic. Is that where the dictatorship, the lack of transparency...
Schwarzberg, everything is legal. The law only applies to... If you have less than $1 billion, then the law applies to you. If you have at least $1 billion, there is no law that applies to you. Phantom, I was reading one day how Chinese policy evolved, and I just loved how they will argue it was argue in a way that connect each policy change to the previous one. So the Chinese policy today is connected to Mao. Yeah, it's bullshit. They have to continue with the lie that, you know, the glorious leaders of this country were all like immaculately intelligent and working together, and they all knew exactly what they were doing. Don't mind all the other stuff. Don't look behind the curtain.
The disappearances caught up with China because, of course, there was a black hole in China in terms of China's censorship methods, its draconian policies, the zero COVID policy, the crackdown, which led, some people say, to over 1 million, 2 million deaths. We saw protests in buildings, people screaming. Was that a moment where China actually collided with reality and said, this system, it can't survive long term?
Well, I beg to differ on the question of the pandemic, because actually for 2 years, 2020 and 2021, actually China did, under the circumstances, extremely well and well outperformed the West. And the reasons for it are quite complicated. You've got to take a very different kind of system. Now, one of the problems with the discussion, I think, so far on this question is that the country, it sounds as if the country doesn't work. If you say dictator, despot, all these kind of words.
I didn't say that, but
no,
that's how
but if...
you can have a country that is stable under a dictatorship. It doesn't mean that it's a good place to live or that it's a good country. It doesn't even mean that it is a functional country. It's just a stable country.
You say, not you personally, but and one says there's no discussion. This is, I think this is absolutely untrue. So what we're presenting here is not an accurate picture.
Oh, thank you, Schwarzberg.
It's not about accurate picture, it's about balance, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I don't deny what you're saying, but you're British. You would think it was a political earthquake if the Foreign Secretary and the Defense Secretary disappeared in the space of 6 months. Not arrested, disappeared, surely.
Yeah, and there is something on. Look, Qinggong was a friend of mine as well. And I don't know what's happened to him. And I think it is odd. Certainly to our eyes, it's weird that
And
this
North
can
Korea
happen.
is very stable. Doesn't mean it's a good
but I
place
think
either.
that the thing-
Although I would argue South Korea is pretty fucked as well. So, you know, Koreas are not doing great. Neither of them are.
is that we've got to try and get beyond cardboard cutouts when we're talking about China and understand how it really works.
I think we do, man. I think we do.
Let's bring in our audience who've been waiting here in London's Conway Hall. I'm going to go to the lady there on the fourth row. Yes, you.
My question is, as a dissident from Hong Kong, knowing that I cannot express freely in Hong Kong or in the UK without risking other people in trouble, I also know that you just now made claims about there's free speech in China, and it's possible to criticize the Chinese government just now again. Can you please demonstrate that free speech and tell us what are Xi Jinping's 2 worst mistakes in the past 5 years?
Great
If you
Ooh,
can
great
demonstrate
question.
to us that it's okay to criticize Xi Jinping, the Chinese government, and China, or even just say Xi Jinping kind of resembles Winnie the Pooh would be good enough for me. Thank you.
Victor, do you want to take that question?
He's just wait. You want me to say what now?
Well, thank you. I would say
By the way, he really does resemble Winnie the Pooh.
China need to make more prompt, take more prompt actions in dealing with the dramatic aging population in China and the dramatic demographic decline.
Do you think Xi Jinping's to blame for not being fast enough on aging?
No, I think the whole Chinese government, including the Central Committee,
Look at it, she's laughing
State
too.
Council, local government need to take actions quickly to reverse that dramatic aging population problem and demographic
We're
decline.
not going to get a criticism out of you. Let's go back to the audience. Let's go.
Oh my god, that's so funny. By the way, here's Xi, and here's Winnie. Kind of does resemble him. I can see it. You know, it's not 100%, but it's there. Yeah, it's there.
Go to the gentleman here in the tie. Yes, you.
Yeah, Alex, sorry, Alex Vines from Chatham House. My question is debt. So there's been very bad riots, for example, it's been in the news in Kenya. Some of that debt that's been causing the problem is owed to China. So the question is, how is China going to handle the increasing pressures for debt cancellation? At least 17 African countries are in particular distress this year. Thank you.
I understand the Chinese debt in these large-scale connectivity projects is only a small portion of the overall national debt because
That's good for now, Shardspork. However, I was gonna wait for this, but this just passed the Idaho State House 46-24. States finding that legislature and calls upon the Supreme Court decision of the United States to reverse decision of Obergefell v. Hodges and restore the natural definition of marriage to a union between a woman and a man. So, some good news and some really bad news. Feel like we can balance.
they own debt to the United States, to Britain, to the international financing institutions, etc. They not just own debt to China, but to many other countries. That's the reality. Secondly, there is accusation about the death trap, which is completely wrong and false. Because if you want to do connectivity project, major project finance things, you need to have equity as well as
we did
debt.
warn them.
Debt is an indispensable part of the packaging.
Okay, let's go back to the audience. I say I'll take this gentleman at a time, then go to the back, then we'll go to that gentleman there. You next, after this one.
My name is Sonam Frazi. I would like to ask you a question on Tibet.
Ooh, good.
I was born in Tibet before the Chinese invasion of Tibet. Unfortunately, 1.2 million Tibetans have died since, and we have been made refugees. My question is, Tibet, after 74 years of Chinese rule, is still under lockdown. No journalists, no individual tourists, no even Tibetans are not allowed to see their families. What is China afraid of to keep Tibet in such a tight control and Tibetans in such an inhuman existence in our own
they're
country?
not afraid. It's not about fear. China just keeps Tibet under that much control because of its petty revenge for standing up to them, and also because they do this for everyone else too. It's not like they're. I mean, Tibet is getting like a little bit more of a special treatment, but like they do this to everyone who disagrees with them. Every single one. That's kind of like their whole MO.
Sir, ever since the Yuan dynasty, if not even earlier, Tibet has been part of China. Through different dynasties, different historical periods, I can assure you, during your lifetime and mine, Tibet will always be part of China.
Why?
Okay, well then, India is Turkey. So is Mongolia, so is Iran, Iraq, Syria, Israel is also Turkey. Germany, fucking the entire Balkans, parts of Russia. I think even Moscow's in there. So, if we're going by historical claims, fuck you. Like, this is such a stupid argument. The blood and soil argument is the dumbest argument that these people consistently insist on making.
Why are you so insistent on ruling places that don't want to be ruled by China?
No, Tibet is part of China. We've been through Tibet, Taiwan. They're not happy in Xinjiang. Tibet being part of China doesn't depend on whether you like it or not. It's a megatrend of our time.
A megatrend.
And you need to accept that before you will feel free to go back to China, so to visit Tibet.
Like, do you know how insane that sounds? Like, literally, one more time. Like, that was fucking insane.
Tibet being part of China doesn't depend on whether you like it or not. It's a megatrend of our time.
A megatrend.
And you need to accept that before you will
feel free to
go back to China.
So you don't
visit Tibet.
It was literally, like, that is absolutely a threat. I will put you in the hole.
Like you're threatening the man.
No, I'm not.
You said you have to accept that before you can go back. He's from that place.
You live in peace in Britain, that's good.
But he's a refugee.
But if you want...
You can live like a degenerate in the West if you want to, but if you want to go home, well then you must bow, or we're gonna put you in the hole. Like, that is absolutely a threat. That's the one thing I actually like about China, is that they're open and overt with their fascism.
Want to go back to Tibet, acknowledge Tibet is part of China, period.
And what if he doesn't? He can't go back to his home?
You cannot go back. Because China doesn't want to see anyone advocating for the independence of Tibet.
Why can't
no
China...
No way, that will never happen.
Victor, why can't China rest on its own merits? Why the bullying and the threats? We're going to break you to pieces, Taiwan.
You want to know what a really... like, what a better way to do this would be? Like, let's say you really want Tibet for some whatever fucking reason. How about you incentivize them to want to join your country? How about you incentivize them to not want to leave your country? How about you increase their living standards? How about you give them more rights? Sorry, live free or live under tyranny or die. No, it's either live free in the degenerate West or accept the tyranny or die.
You can't go back until you sign this document or that declaration. Why the insecurity? Second biggest economy in the world, major power. You sound so insecure.
Because they are.
China's security rests on the principle that there is only one China. And Taiwan is part of China, Tibet is part of China, and Xinjiang is part of China. Period.
See, I told you, this is what he meant when he said China has a military built for peace. It's just pieces of other countries. All fascists all have micro-dick energy. This is true. It genuinely is, because fascism is built on insecurity. That is the foundation of fascism. You need insecurity. Generally also sexual insecurity, but not always. And everything goes on top of that.
And even if the people there don't want to be part of it, you don't give a damn.
The majority of the people live happily as Chinese citizens.
Did you do a vote?
I will go with you to Tibet.
We're going to go to Tibet and we're going to talk to all the Tibetans.
And possibly
I can go to
Taiwan.
Tibet, but the guy who's from there can't go there. You sound ludicrous when you say this stuff, I'm sorry to say. Let us go back to the audience. Gentleman at the back, and then this gentleman here.
My name is Aziz Isa Elkin. I am a British Uyghur, except Rehan. And my question, for many in the Uyghur diaspora, we have not been allowed contact with our families at home within the Uyghur Autonomous Region since 2017, when Chinese government started detaining more than 3 million plus Uyghurs into their high-tech
12 million
surveillance concentration camps. My question to you, sir, what's the Chinese government trying to hide from us? Second,
okay,
why can't we not talk freely with our families?
Okay. Yet another Uyghur. So many Uyghurs, the same story, the same questions.
I'm always very happy to see wherever I go a Uyghur person.
Oh,
Because
Uyghur,
I do
yes.
consider the Uyghurs as my brothers and sisters.
The Uyghurs,
on one
yes.
condition, though.
Part of me is starting to feel sorry for your actual brothers and sisters.
on one condition, though, Uyghurs need to acknowledge that Xinjiang is part of China. That's a big precondition. If you do not accept that precondition,
then you go in the hole.
You are not my brother or sister.
Hold on, so that's fine. You don't have to be brothers and sisters, but can he not talk to his family?
It depends on where your family is. There are indeed Uyghur separatists who want to promote separatism of Uyghur.
Yes, all 12 million of them in the camps, every single one. You know what is the more insane part of this is that it was probably like 4 guys and then they did this and now all 12 million of them probably do want independence, which is always what happens, by the way, anyway. Indie Crab, I still remember when they kidnapped the future 15th Dalai Lama, pointless trying to make sense of them. Well, I mean, it's not like we're even trying to make sense of them. They're just openly, like, saying shit. What's up, Cheeseburger Merv? Good to see you. I passed my citizenship test today. Perfect score. Poor guy, you can tell he's about to cry, but he's trying to stay strong. Yeah, absolutely, because his family is in a fucking camp, and he's like, well, where are they? Can I talk to them? And the answer that he's getting is, well, only if you bend the knee and swear allegiance to the emperor and also denounce any, like, belief that you have that fucking doesn't fit in. I'm not a citizen yet, unfortunately, Indie Crab. Australia takes a goddamn long time. I passed the test in like 6 months. I'll probably get a approval, and then they'll schedule me for a ceremony, which will be like another 9 months away, and then I'll be a citizen. But I passed the test, so pretty dope. I'm pretty happy. Thank you, Cheeseburger Merv.
What about the people who are not separatists who just disappear?
Turn Xinjiang into East Turkmenistan. This will never happen. Listen to this. Call your friends to stick to the one China policy.
He just wants to talk
I have no idea,
to a family member.
years old. 7 years I didn't speak to my mother. I want to speak to my mother. I am British Uyghur. I want to speak to my mother. Do you understand?
Literally support one China policy. Support Xinjiang being part of China.
Victor.
Period.
Do you have no heart to see this man who can't speak to his 82-year-old mother? Is she a separatist?
I wish your mother is here in this hall talking to you. And
why don't you let her go? So then maybe she could.
But then on one condition, in China, zero tolerance of any separatist movement.
An 82-year-old woman.
Remember, when he says separatist, what he actually means is just any form of disagreement. All I hear is, you need to be a good boy and accept one China. Literally, that is it. That is what he's saying. And there is no, like, separatist is their version of terrorist. You just have to say everything that you're told to say, believe everything that you're told to believe, and shut the fuck up. Drink the Kool-Aid, then you can see your mom, yeah. And if you don't, I mean, you can still see your mom, but, you know, we're going to put you in the hole with her otherwise.
China. What does that say about China?
I hope she's not a
yeah,
separatist.
11 months is fucking
if she's
crazy.
A separatist, she will be.
Because I'm by conferral, so I'm first row on that.
Period.
Wait, what?
A separatist, she will be dealt with by law. Period.
Again, separatist just means anyone who doesn't agree. While I would like to stay here for longer, I have to say goodnight. Wish you all have a chill, enjoy the rest of your day. Have a lovely night, Stitchart. Have you joined the Discord, by the way? Because if you haven't, you definitely should. Stitch Art. I got it. You can see your mom in hell. Yeah, literally, Shardspork.
Victor, before we finish, I have one question for you. We're in the UK. We're in Conway Hall, historic.
Oh, cool. We're almost done. Oh, we're literally about to be done.
Could we do a show like this? Could I interview you like this? Could Rehan come be on a panel like this? in Beijing, in
No,
say,
of
the
course
Beijing
not.
International Convention Center. Can we do a show like this? Audience members freely ask questions.
Mehdi Hasan would literally get assassinated.
Take questions from everyone. No one's vetted. No one's threatened. Can we do this in Beijing?
Mehdi, if you ask me to line up all the support, you will do that.
If they
Really,
did this
I can
in
assure you
Beijing,
that.
you want to know what would happen? Mehdi Hasan would say one thing, then suddenly all the lights would go out, and then the lights would come back on in like 30 seconds, and then there would be another guy who just like, who's Chinese, but kind of looks like Mehdi Hasan, has a very thick Chinese accent speaking English, and just goes on pretending to be Mehdi Hasan. That's what would happen. And we would never see the real Mehdi again.
Speak freely. No one turns up at their house afterwards.
For many European countries, you do not need a visa to go to China. Pick up your luggage
No, I'm
and
not
buy
asking.
a ticket.
I'm not asking
Fly to
foreigners.
Beijing.
Victor, I'm not asking foreigners to come. I'm saying, could a Chinese audience turn up and ask whatever they want, criticize Xi Jinping, criticize the government, ask you questions, talk about Uyghurs? Could you do it in Beijing?
Mehdi, in China, don't criticize our president.
So we couldn't do this.
Unless you
Well, I'm
have
glad you
a
answered the
very
question.
positive, constructive proposal to make.
From
Criticism
from the
is
horse's
not
mouth. Don't criticize unless it's
Criticism
positive.
is not the only goal. Criticism with constructive
speech
purposes
is a goal.
will be a better free speech.
Free speech is a goal we cherish on this show. I'm glad to have offered you a platform for free speech. I wish you could offer me one back. Victor Gao, thank you for your time. Thank you to the audience in Conway Hall. And thank you to everyone at home for watching this episode of Head to Head.
That was fucking wild. You know what also is wild? I just looked up his Wikipedia. So he is the vice president of the Beijing-based Center for China and Globalization. So, like, he's still alive. He still has his job. The Center for China and Globalization sounds like a fucking shadow organization, but it is what it is. Have a lovely night, Stitch Art. And, yeah, so that was that. That was fun.